Rolex is often seen as the company that can do no wrong. Every year they release new watches to almost instant acclaim, and even the ones that aren't instantly loved still manage to sell quite well. But Rolex didn't get to this point without making a few mistakes along the way. So today we're going to be talking about one of the watches that perhaps Rolex would prefer that we forgot, and that is the Datejust II. The Datejust II was the last in a line of Rolex sequels, starting with the Explorer II in the 1970s, and including then the Yachtmaster II, the Day-Date II, and of course, the Datejust II. All of these sequels had one thing in common, which was that they were bigger, featured more prominent bezels, more aggressive case design, and an overall more masculine look to them. And this is apparent in the Datejust II as it was with all the others. On the face of it, the numbers don't really suggest too much of a change with what we currently have in the Datejust 41. These are both 41mm watches with relatively thin movements and 100 meters of water resistance. However, when you look at the Datejust II, you can instantly see the differences with its predecessor. Up until 2009 when this was released, Rolex only had the Datejust in 36mm, so this was their first exploration into an even bigger Datejust. While the current Datejust 41 maintains the proportions that Rolex had with the original 36, this one features a much beefier case, a little bit more akin to the super case that we see in the Submariner of the same era. It also featured a thicker bezel, and interestingly was only offered with the Oyster bracelet. So during the Datejust II, there wasn't a Jubilee bracelet option available. This added to the notion that Rolex was creating a Datejust that was much more butch, much more aggressive, and less of a dress watch alternative compared to the regular Datejust 36 or its successor, the 41. In 2016 though, Rolex pulled the plug. They hit reset on their initiative for a bigger Datejust, and they introduced us to the Rolex Datejust 41. Now this is still in current production. On the inside it featured the new caliber 3235, so it was also a movement upgrade, and it was available with a Jubilee bracelet. Specifically, the modern Jubilee bracelet, which was much stronger and more robust compared to the 36mm variant that was available throughout the early 2000s. But what's interesting is when you look at the two of these together, again, on paper both 41mm, you can see that the presence of the Datejust II is much more, and it was a similar case with the Day-Date II of the same era. The fact that they discontinued this so quickly shows that Rolex knew they had made a mistake. And that mistake was they broke the cardinal rule of Rolex, which is mastery of proportions, evolutionary design, and not playing to fads and fashions. At the end of the day, when this was released in 2009, this was the same era of those big 44mm Breitling chronomats. The Hublot Big Bang was released. These were all bigger watches that were much more prominent and present compared to the watches we would have seen throughout the 90s and very early 2000s. This was a bandwagon watch, whereas this was Rolex staying true to what they normally did. And we can see throughout almost all of their sequels released during the 2000s, the only one remaining is the Yachtmaster II. This was discontinued, the Day-Date II was discontinued, and the Yachtmaster II's design has been largely untouched since it was released, while in the meantime its predecessor, the regular Yachtmaster, has gotten new sizes, new materials, and a new movement. And on top of that, since then, Rolex has also shown that they've learned their lesson when it comes to how to make a bigger watch. With the Sky Dweller, the proportions are much more in tune with what you would normally see from a Rolex Datejust, just at a bigger size. Similar case with the Submariner. They slimmed down the lugs on the 2020 Submariner to give it a bit less of that swollen look of the case that they had with the Super case. This shows that Rolex is taking a step back, but this Datejust II was really the beginning of the end for the Rolex sequels. It'd be interesting to see what they end up doing with the Yachtmaster II design, if they end up rolling it back completely, discontinuing it, or releasing a new version of it to perhaps be in line with what they've been doing with some of their other models. This makes the Datejust II something very interesting when you consider that it had one of the shortest life cycles of a Rolex Datejust. So this does offer a great opportunity for something that's a little bit different, that maybe at a glance it looks like just a normal Datejust, but it is very much one of those if you know, you know watches. But let us know in the comments below, what do you think of the Datejust II compared to the Datejust 41? Especially if you're someone who prefers a bigger watch, would you prefer something like the Datejust II that has that extra presence, or would you prefer something that still carries the elegance of a regular Datejust but with a 41mm case? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Of course, if you like this video, make sure you like it and share it. If you want to see more videos about watches, then make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell as well so you know when the next video comes out. Also, if you'd like to see more Rolex content, make sure you check out our Rolex playlist. And if you're interested in either of these watches or any of the Rolex models that we have for sale, then make sure to check the links in the description below. Thanks for joining us on this quick overview of one of the most underrated and perhaps often forgotten Datejust models, the Datejust II. And we'll catch you on the next video.